Hi and welcome back to the channel. So today we are actually having a look at the Akai MPC. As you can see, I've got it switched on and hooked up. Now I have set the default preset to OPX Evolution, as you can see, and you can do that in the preferences because it kind of tends to default to Awakening in Fabric Excel. So I'll kind of start off with the screen. So basically this is your presets. Now I have bought OPX and Fabric Excel, so you don't necessarily get these with the standard one. So I've got Fabric Excel, Fabric Piano and Electric Piano, and then I've got Subfactory, and I have got the trial of Jura, but I didn't really think it was that great. And it comes with Hype, Tube Synth, Odyssey, Selena, Mellotron, Bassline, Drum Synth and Electric. So all the other ones I have purchased or I actually had before when I had the 61. So yeah, so that is your kind of like main sound screen. So it has kind of changed a bit. So you've got these new buttons. So I never had these on the 61. So these are new and they're very useful. So you've got your sounds and favorites. So the shift button's over here. So if you want to go to favorites, you can see I favorited some presets from various plugins. So there's some from Hype, some from Fabric, and some OPX as well. Got your menu and prefs, you've got your main track, so you've got edit the plugin, and you've got the XY effects as well, so you've got a dedicated button for that. You've got grid and step sequencer, and then you've got mix and pad. So it is very, very cool, and like I said, these are really useful, and obviously you use them all the time because this is now MPC 3, so it's completely different to when I had the Key 61, and it is much better to use, I have to say. You've got your 4 Q links and they are mapped, so these are mapped to the top 4 there, and if you want to switch to the next bank you can just switch there. So there's 4 banks of Q links. In this case there's 3 banks of Q links depending on the plugin, and it'll tell you which one you're on there, so I could adjust that. And so yeah, so that is Evolution. That's the first patch on the OPX 4. Oh, very cool. So plugin 1 is track 1. So track 2 is the trap kit default, and then it goes into submixes. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 submixes, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 returns, and then outputs 1, 2, outputs 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, and then that's it. So create a new track, that's what you will get. And if I wanted to create a new plugin, I would just add new track, and I could add in a Fabric Excel or whatever. So we're going to look at that in a separate video. We go back to the menu page as well. Yeah, so you've got main mode, arrange, grid view, step sequencer, list edit, track mute, track pad, Q link, edit, sampler, sample edit, track view, next sequence, MIDI learn, song, key ranges, and MIDI control, pad color, and looper. So yeah, so there's a fair old whack in there. And then if you go to browser, you can see I am, these are all my expansions that I've got loaded in. So if I go to places, I've got a SanDisk 512 in the back, and I have got all my stuff on here. So I've got all my Black Octopus sounds, all my Ghost Hack, all my soundtrack loops. So yeah, so it's quite cool. And then I go to expansions, and you can see there's the graphics for all my expansions there. So I have, what's that, 2, 4, 6, 8 expansions. So down the side you've got your channel mixer, your pad mixer, your sounds, and the XY effects, which is great because you have a dedicated kind of button for that now as well, and I will look at that later on in a different video. So before I go over the controls, I will just talk about the build quality. It's plastic, but it is quite thick plastic, so it's not as well made as the 61 because that was mainly metal. The main case was metal, and the pitch and the mods were much nicer on the 61. The keypad it's not as good. It's got aftertouch, but there's very little kind of feel for the aftertouch. It's very short compared to my complete S61, which has got aftertouch. It's much more obvious. So the aftertouch isn't really very obvious. There's not a lot of travel. But I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's still full-size keys, unlike the XM, which are not, they're kind of like 3/4 size keys. And the pads are small, but I mean, they're okay. So they're all RGB coloured. I mean, I don't finger drum anyway, so I tend to use these as another set of keys. So I would change the octave on there so I can play like a lower octave. So that's kind of like the lowest octave I can get. So that's how I kind of used them on the 61 as well. So rather than, I don't really finger drum, I tend to use the step sequencer or just program stuff in, so I can't finger drum to save myself. So the kind of, these controls are quite, I mean, these are okay, they're plastic, but they could do with a bit more resistance on the volume. It's quite light, and the octave. So these are quite clicky. They're plastic. They're not rubberized keys. They're kind of plastic, but they're fine. I mean, they light up. So you've got track mute, pad mute, copy delete, full volume, half volume, 16 level, notes, erase, and note repeat and latch down there. And then let's say these are for using to go through your pad bank. So you've got 8 pad banks. So if you hit shift, so you've got A, B, C, D, and then shift, and it'll go to E, F, G, H. So you can have up to 8 pad banks. So that's kind of that side. And then like I said, you've got your main controls underneath here, and then you've got your Q-link knobs. Now these are quite nice. They've got more resistance. So yeah, they're quite cool, quite like them. And then you've got your Q-link button, so that goes through your 4. You can go into Q-link edit as well, and then you can actually switch the status off. So this is a new thing which I didn't realize, because normally when you adjust those, you get the screen comes up. Now you can actually switch that off now. So if I've switched this back on, you'll see you get this annoying kind of screen. So, and sometimes it hides what you're actually controlling underneath. So I kind of prefer to have that off. You've got undo, redo, automation, and on off. You've got TC on off. You've got ARP, latch, metronome, keyboard control, tap tempo on the top. And then with shift, you've got configure, chords, configure, MIDI control, and global. And then you've got load looper, save as, sample edit, and sampler. And then your record, overdub, stop, play, and play start. So that is it. So one of the advantages over this, as opposed to the MPC 1 Plus, is it does have more buttons. Because I was kind of thinking, will I get a 1 Plus instead? But for the extra money, and it's not that much more, maybe 100, so 150 maybe more. You obviously you get the keyboard and the pitch and mod, but you do actually get more buttons. And a bit more space, so you're not, because obviously the 1 Plus is quite cramped, and this still has the angle, so you probably can't see from this camera angle, but the 61 was the same, so it goes along, and then this is actually angled by, it's quite a few degrees. So I think it's a great design, and I wish more keyboard manufacturers kind of had this. That is kind of it for overview of the build quality and the controls. And in the next one, we will start playing around with some of the sounds. And obviously I have done a lot of sound demos before, because, like I said, I've had the MPC Key 61. So I'll probably do some other things. I'm going to buy some of the Native Instruments Play series. So I'm going to buy those, and I'm going to kind of demo those instead, because there's still not a huge amount of videos on those. So that is it for today. And hopefully if you have enjoyed that video, please like, subscribe, share, and comment. And I will see you in the next part.